single generation in our country's history. We are literally the first generation to be worse off than their parents. That's not normal. That is not normal. And of course, we are all angry. We are all upset, but we have to understand where actual power lies. Because if we are going and taking actions that aren't actually effective, we will never win. Number one, we should have like 3 months of savings. Why don't people have 3 months of savings? Nobody does. And it feels really personal. It feels like you're doing something wrong. Like if you're working hard and you can't pay for life, it's your fault. That's not the case. Maybe when it's like a small percentage of people, but when almost every single person feels like life is walking in the mud, then that's on purpose. Put a me in the chat. Drop a me in the chat if it feels like you did everything right and are still falling behind. If life feels like treading water constantly, put a me in the chat. Because that feeling of constantly being stressed, that's on purpose. If you are always fighting for survival, you're never going to fight for change. And they know that. We're talking about why working full time isn't enough. And that is on purpose. In Focused, would love to talk to you. Send a message to me. So the truth is, this isn't about feelings at all. This is literally about the facts of the situation. Because as you can see, our cost of living is about the same as our average salary. And it's so funny as the whole facts over feelings crowd doesn't seem to admit this too much. Because it really is. Our average salary is the same as our average cost of living. And that is by design. So we work harder and we fall farther behind. And even though it's a problem with the system, I like to think of it as a road. Even though the problem is the road, it's not the drivers. The problem is the road. But because we always blame the drivers, right? The individuals get blamed. But it wasn't like that in the previous generations. It wasn't like that. Most people weren't working full time and still struggling. Now, sure, it always happened to portions of the population. But back then, a huge chunk of Americans could afford the basics while working 40 hours a week. Now the opposite is true. 80% of Americans don't have savings. Y'all, we're in a bug's life. That's what it is. We work all day collecting food. And it's so funny. The grasshoppers in a bug's life would love for the ants to think it's some foreign power that's the problem, right? That's the whole goal of the grasshoppers, for us to not identify the root cause, for all of us to fight over, well, it's not the grasshoppers, it's those foreign grasshoppers. No, John. It's the billionaires, the 1%, the corporations in this country. Because what happens is we work all day creating the value for this country, creating the value for the companies. What the heck are companies if not a bunch of individuals doing work all day to help the company grow? But then the 1% comes and takes all the food, right? Now, Ellen, compare that to our life where we work 40 hours, we hustle our asses off, we do everything right, and then by the time the rent and food and all the bills come every single goddamn month, there's nothing left. And what's crazy is they make it feel like it's our fault, right, Mel? That's what's insane. There is not many shared ideas in America, but the fact that everyone should be able to make their own way, and if you can't afford to live, it's nobody's fault but your own. That is a big shared ideal in America. Making your own way is a rite of passage. But most people don't even have 2 months of emergency funding saved. Put a me in the chat if you do not have enough emergency funds in your bank account. Because just like the grasshoppers recognized that it was only once they realized, well, we pick the food for the grasshoppers. The grasshoppers need us. And once the grasshoppers realized that, they realized they had the leverage. To us, our leverage is savings. It's having enough in our bank account to walk away, right? That's what it is. John, stop letting your feelings get in the way. Do you want to come up and talk about facts? Because I have about 50 other documentation that shows the productivity versus the compensation. Why is it that the facts over feeling crowd, when presented with facts, whines about their own personal experiences, right? Well, it feels like it's bad spending habits. It feels like it's other countries that we're sending billions to. Who do you think is making the decisions for that to happen? The politicians that are bought and paid for by the corporations. Open your eyes, people. They want us fighting over all of these different things. Why is it that we get so easily manipulated by the billionaires and we play right into their hands? Because the people that control all the jobs, that's the ultra wealthy. The people that, this is where, John, you are not smart, because the people that control all the jobs, that's the ultra wealthy. The people that control all of the retirement and the housing and the healthcare, that's the ultra wealthy. The people that control the media, that's the ultra wealthy. But who's the problem? Oh, other countries. Oh, immigrants. Oh, it's actually people not spending their money well. Well, goddamn, how hard-headed do you have to be to look at the fact right here that the average salary in America does not cover the average cost of living? But because people do not want to believe the fact that, oh, this isn't working for people anymore. It's almost like if you've got a crack in your foundation and you just don't want to believe it because you're like, damn, that's going to be a lot of work to fix. I might as well just put all the blame on the color of the walls. It's not that the foundation is cracking. It's that you painted the walls the wrong color. It's like, what? And so that is what we are fixing, is showing people that this is not individual failure, right? This is not individual failure at all. It's the people up top understanding. We'll be back to the solution in like 15 minutes, kaboom. Let's say we'll be at the solution by 11:50. We don't rush things. I've been on for 8 minutes. We've been having this problem for 50 years, but quick, let's talk about the solution. The solution is in the Discord. This is to show people what we are doing. The Discord is where we've got all the details. You can look at it. If it's not for you, then leave. That's fine. But I guarantee if you are listening to what we're saying here, everything we have in the Discord tells you how to actually get involved. So if we don't have savings, we're freaking stuck, y'all. Because if you don't have savings, you can't really say no to anything, to your boss. And then if we don't have savings, do you really feel free when you can't afford shit in the grocery store? That's what's crazy. So here's what it is. If you work a 13-hour shift, this happened to our buddy Dave yesterday, who comes in all the time. If you work a 13-hour shift one day and then the boss tells you, I need you back in early tomorrow morning. If you had security and 6 months of savings, what would you say? No, boss. I just worked 13 hours. Find somebody else to do it, right? But the boss knows that if they keep you out of savings, if they keep your salary pretty much close to the cost of living, then you will never have that 6 months of savings. So when they want to take advantage of you and have you work 20 days in a row, when they want to have you open right after working a 14-hour day, all they have to say is those magical words, do it or you're fired. And they know they have control over you. They're pulling the strings on the puppet. Why do we accept this? Why do we allow this, right? That's the problem. And the reason that we accept this and the reason we allow this is the majority of people are brainwashed into what the actual problem is, rather than understanding that no, trans athletes and illegal immigrants are not the reasons why you don't have savings. And savings is actually the real issue in America today. The people up top want you angry about anything rather than the money in your bank account. Because here's what the truth of it is. Curse world, if you had 100 grand in your bank account, you wouldn't be so mad about illegals. You'd be like, shit, I got 100 extra grand. We've got more than enough. Yeah, it's a problem, but I'm happy. I'm good. I'm secure. I'll let somebody else worry about it. But instead, you think they're the ones causing all your problems. So you get so upset about it, even though has an illegal immigrant taken your job? Has an illegal immigrant taken, anything from you? No, you are being manipulated because only a small percentage of people are even affected by immigration in this country. And not only that, you are an immigrant yourself. You are an immigrant yourself. So what we're saying is not having savings matters. And there you go. The people that point fingers, red or blue, there you go. We don't need to take curse world. If you think I'm a Democrat, then you must be a pig that's flying. Because I actually think that you're a little bit silly for saying, oh, this one political corporation, they love me and they love America and they will always have my back. But that other political corporation, that other color, they are demons. They are terrible. Well, honestly, if you believe that, you're a patsy that's getting played. You're a sucker. You're being manipulated. It's so funny that you point the fingers at either. You automatically, assume I'm on one side or the other. Because of what? Because of brainwashing, right? So that's where we have to remember the curse worlds, they are not the majority in this country, right? They are like 25, 30%, maybe that much. And the only difference is they've got the billionaires' thumb on the scale because they are the ones that are amplifying the voices of, remember, Trump loves the uneducated. This isn't about elections. And it's so funny. We can see you getting angrier, curse world. We can see you getting angrier. But it's not your fault. It really isn't your fault, curse world. The system is sneaky. It feels like to you that personal finances only affect you, that they're an individual's decision. And that is what a mature person says you are. But look, curse world, stay a minute. Maybe you'll learn something. Walmart will pay workers really low salaries. And then do you know what Walmart does? Walmart holds classes to teach their employees how to sign up for Medicaid. Now, I'm an employer. I've got a lot of employees. I would feel like the biggest piece of shit if part of my training regimen was to teach my employees how to go on Medicaid. Because that means not only am I taking advantage of my employees, guess what? I'm taking advantage of all of you, all of your tax dollars. So Walmart saves money. We end up paying the healthcare for all their employees. And Curse World defends that system, right? That's why. So you once again are fighting over all of the little issues they want us to fight about. I don't care about ID because they want us to fight over things that don't matter. And you are playing into their hands by getting angry about things that don't matter. It's so funny because you would think that somebody who feels big and strong and powerful wouldn't let their emotions get so in tatters over what somebody is saying on a screen, right? So we need to end corporate welfare because back to A Bug's Life, this big company is making millions, teaching the workers how to go on Medicaid. And that's literally the end of A Bug's Life, where the ants or the grasshoppers took all the food. And then it's like, well, ants, you got to figure it out. That's literally what they're doing. Now, the issue is the ants got the power back, not when they realized it was 100 to 1, right? Not when they realized it was 100 to 1. The power was when they realized they controlled the food. The grasshoppers needed them in order to eat. So they had the leverage. They had the power. Well, we actually are the same way. The corporations need us if they're going to run. They need us to make their profit. So what they do is they take away our leverage so they control us. And they take away our leverage by not letting us have any savings, right? So that's why we fight about random stuff. When people are struggling, they get scared. They look for someone to blame. We've seen it all in the last 90 seconds. And so they end up fighting about things that doesn't even affect their lives. Let's say it again. So when people feel like they can't breathe financially, type a me in the chat if that is you. If you feel like you cannot breathe financially, what do people do? Well, we're struggling, so we get a little scared. And we are one paycheck away from disaster. We get a little scared. We look for someone to blame. And so we end up fighting about stuff that doesn't change most people's lives. Curse World, are you even listening? Because you really helped me prove my point there. Meanwhile, the more we fight about immigration and stuff that doesn't matter, the actual problem never gets fixed. Right? Remember, we don't get angry at the people who are brainwashed. We ask, who is doing the brainwashing, right? We ask, who benefits from Curse World being brainwashed? We need to follow the money. And if you're just joining, we're using A Bug's Life to explain we have no power because we don't control the essentials. That is the issue. There we go. So I'm going to hop back down and hop back up here. Follow the Discord link if you want to be a part of this. We are building what we need. Ellen, it doesn't matter. It's all part of, that's just there to distract us. It's the same exact way because it's a big club and we ain't in it. Multinational corporations are the ones that are in control. We don't need to be asking, like, what does this country do or that like that? No, it's not even countries. They're all connected via corporations. The world's currency isn't peace anymore. It's profit. So it doesn't really matter because capitalism will always do these ridiculously crazy things to serve the people up top. And so we see all of this corruption, but it's really the same. And that's where isn't it so funny? Somebody comes in for less than a minute, and it's like they say something like that. So, alrighty, I'm gonna hop it down and hop back up. If anybody wants to support this, they suppress the hell out of us. So pop on in, comment early, give some likes, give some